All right, family, you already know what time it is. It's Tasha, MamabearPrepping. Let's get into it. So today we are going to be discussing food. I've gotten a lot of information, questions. What I've been recently getting is a lot of emails requesting almost like individual like counseling and like, hey, what should I be doing? What can I do? That type of thing, and I don't offer that, right? I don't have anything that I offer where, I break down stuff. I try to answer as much as possible, but there's just a lot coming my way, you guys. And so I figured, and on the other side of that, I still am getting people who are like, I don't understand why people are freaking out about food. I don't understand why channels are talking about it so much. I don't see any issues in my area. I've been hearing this for years. I've been hearing people sounding the alarm for years and years, and nothing has happened, and they're just sick to death with it. And so I just want to discuss that and remind people there are a ton of warnings, a ton of reasons right now today that should make you pause, okay? Take note, and continue to prepare food, okay? Because starvation is not cool. Not being able to provide for your family is not cool. Not being able to get food in general on a shelf, it should be a concern, okay? Nobody really wants to talk about this or think about this until it's here. And then it becomes a whole different situation when there's no food for people to procure, for people to get, okay? And so this is why, okay? These are still concerns, and some of these we've discussed in earlier videos, but you need to be paying attention. My first one is water concerns. You should still we talked about this about a year ago, the water concerns in the Western states, okay, that have, especially California, that grows a lot of food, and the concern over water and resources that are literally drying up, that we are not replenishing, okay? And so the concern becomes water, crops, farmers. There's all types of issues out there with farmers and fighting for water and not being able to get water, and water being directed to other places. And therefore, farmers are not being able to grow as much food, grow as much crops, okay? So a concern or a reason why you should be stockpiling food is because water is still an issue. That isn't something we just discussed and then it went away, okay? That is a continuous concern, is the amount of water that is available for farmers to use for growing. Now, a lot of part of the country, it rains. They get some sort of weather patterns that do bring water to those crops, and so those states will still be okay. But some of those states are fighting other stuff that has to do with farmers and mandates and changes to policy, okay? So that's a concern. Next thing is fertilizer issue, okay? So we've been talking about this for a while, and tracking fertilizing. Fertilizer is an issue. It's super increased in price. So inflation is hitting it hard. We had that fire a little while ago, about a week ago. But before all that, it was a concern. It was an issue of them warning us seeing articles and information about fertilizer being taken, used, not enough for our people, running out of it, not having the ability to get it. And so that should be a concern, because you need fertilizer to be able to grow food. Now, can you grow food? Is it possible to grow food without that? It is possible, but the outcome is not going to be as great, okay? And some stuff is just flat out not going to grow possibly in your area without a little bit of a boost from something, okay? Now, the good news is, there is ways to produce your own fertilizer, right? Rabbits, chickens, that type of thing, produce, and you can come up with stuff, right? You can come up and make, I can't even think about the word right now, you guys. Composting, right? You can start composting, start doing that stuff, start mixing stuff together, start thinking about your ability to be able to provide some kind of fertilizer in the future for plants and gardening, okay? Even a couple bunny rabbits, you guys, in your backyard will produce rabbit poo that you can sprinkle all over your garden. That is something, okay? Your kitchen scraps, that's something, okay? There's other ways to get around that. Is it a concern? Absolutely. Is it a reason why you should be stockpiling food? It just adds to it, okay? So absolutely. Next thing is container. We've container issue or container crisis, right? The backup of containers coming into ports. I think that, well, one, this is still an issue. Two, we're not quite talking about it anymore. The media likes to spin up some stuff, talk about it, and then we don't talk about it anymore, right? We forget about it. But that's still an issue. Containers, getting stuff to ports, offloading, then getting truckers there. That whole cycle is still broken, okay? That hasn't been fixed. And so that's still a concern. It's still an issue, okay? And things like, the trucker rally, for example, and things like that. Matter of fact, we'll just get into that because that's on here too. The trucker rally, things like that do impact what's going on with your food, right? I'm actually working on a video that I might do tomorrow about my concerns or my thoughts on the freedom rally, you guys, that's going on in Canada, and just the concern or thoughts surrounding if that comes here. So maybe I'll drop that tomorrow and just give you guys my 2 cents. But those type of things do affect, our food overall, okay, our ability. Weather is another one. Weather in the east, anything that was growing, even cold weather type stuff, when you have so much snow that is dumped and super low temperatures that are lower than normal, even in these areas that are used to growing some stuff still right now, it's bad news, okay? Crops, weather, flooding of places, heavy snow, super icy conditions, below zero conditions. Those things do affect crops, and farmers' abilities out there to come to the end cycle of that crop, okay? Which and then turns into later down the road an issue for our food supply, okay? So another reason why you should be stockpiling food. Next thing I have is foreign conflicts. So obviously my concern with that is not only anybody we would get into conflict with, but our allies, their allies. How does that affect things? Imports, exports, sanctions, that pipeline thing that was brought out yesterday. That's a big deal, right? I used to laugh at all the silly sanctions that, our leadership would put on Putin or put on somebody when they supposedly did something to us. But this discussion of a pipeline and we will turn this off and that type of thing, that's super serious. That's like a big, to me, that's finally kind of like a, whoa, what? That's a big move, okay? But those things are going to affect us the farther we get into any kind of conflict with people in regards to imports, exports, okay? Which affects our food, okay? Next thing I have is obviously inflation is still a thing. That's not going anywhere. That's getting worse and worse by the day. So as a family, you're just going to figure out what sacrifices, which cuts, which changes are you going to make in regards to your budget, inflation, and how you get around that, right? Maybe there's a certain meat you guys don't eat no more because it's just too expensive, okay? Maybe there was a brand of a meat. I went to the store the other day, wanted some chicken, went there. It was like $25 for a decent size chicken breast. I don't know how many pounds it was, you guys, but it was like the big family size, the longer big family size with like big chunky, like 6 or 7 breasts in it, okay? It was like $25. And then I just went right over to another brand and it was like half of that, okay? So pay attention to prices, pay attention to things. There might be some brands that you went to before that you trusted, that you liked their quality of meat or whatever, and now you're switching because you cannot afford expense. I mean, that would have been a meal for us, for my family, and hello, $25. I mean, you just can't justify that for a meal, okay? For just one piece of the meal, okay? Another thing is the quality of food that's coming out. The reason why you should stockpile is because the quality of food is not very good, okay? So you should be preserving food, making food, dehydrating food, whatever the case may be, but figuring out how you're gonna do food. The next thing I have is no one is gonna be coming to provide. So this notion that if something major happens, panic buying starts, the shelves are empty, and this notion that, hey, the shelves are going to just be magically refilled and our government, our leadership is going to provide for us, or FEMA or Red Cross or somebody's going to come in with food and save the day. That notion should not be part of your game plan. That should not be part of your emergency plan, is sitting around waiting for somebody to come and save you guys, okay? So that's why you should be stockpiling food, because that's not happening, okay? Especially if it's something major, they're definitely not coming because they can't come for everybody. Next thing I have is, we've been talking about this, mayor of DC, different people warning their people, hey, you need to start rationing yourselves, self-rationing. Think about limits, think about other people. If you have any kind of leadership telling you, that's a warning. China warning, you have countries that are warning their people to stockpile food, get food. It's super important, okay? We talked about crops, them having issues with their crops, that affects us. Imports, exports, that affects us. It's all a big circle. So it's not just a us thing. This is going to affect the world. All these things I'm talking about affect the world right now in regards to food, and I would challenge you, instead of, the solution is continue to prep, continue to do the things you need to do, right, to get ready, that I talk about in all these videos every single day. But a concern or questions you should be asking yourself today is, how many meals away are you from not having any more food, right? How long will the food in your house last? Spectrum, I can't remember his name. I watch him though. Oh, it's so bad that I forgot his name. He said on his channel, he had a video the other day that like 70% of Americans live check to check. 70% is not all the poor people, you guys. That's people who make decent money is in that mix, okay? So you have people that live paycheck to paycheck that make decent money, okay? So it's a problem when you can't get food. Those people can't get food. How much food is in your house? How long will it last? How close are you to starvation? Like truly, okay? Ask yourself these questions, right? Because if you are part of that 70%, then how much food can you possibly have in your house? Maybe you are somebody who lives paycheck to paycheck, but you've been budgeting, you've been prepping this whole time, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. And I would urge you to continue to do that, because this is still a serious issue. A lot of people would be like, Tasha, I'm so sick of you talking about food and water and prepping this stuff and gloom and doom. But I just feel an urgency that to not let off the gas in this area. Do not let your foot off the gas pedal in this area. You need to continue to do this stuff. This is some reasons that I just, scribbled down, within 5 minutes of why is it important right now for you to stockpile food for your family. And if this stuff is not concerning to you, you're still like, a skeptic to what I'm saying, and, why don't you just put a tinfoil hat on, Tasha, because you're crazy? I don't know what else to say to you, okay? But you need to be preparing and getting your family ready, okay? And that means getting food, not hoarding stuff. We're prepping. It's little by little. You're getting sales, you're getting budgets. Just change your mindset of how much you should keep in your house than even the mindset even 5 years ago, okay? It's super important. So I'd love to hear the comments below. I'll see you guys on tomorrow's video. Maybe we'll talk about the truck rally tomorrow in tomorrow's video. We'll just get that one out of the way. I have a lot of people sending me information on it almost daily. And we can get into the discussion of how I feel as a woman, as a female, as a prepper, as a mother, how I feel about what's going on with the truckers right now, okay? And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye.